Segment two, Gold and Black Live, and Tammy McCall joins us. Tammy doesn't need any introduction to me because I've enjoyed the opportunity to sit with her for many games this year, and the mom of Mason Gillis. And after Tuesday's win, Mason's had an unbelievable season, and nothing bigger than what happened in Champaign. And now it's senior night, and I know that's a challenging time, I would guess, for parents, and certainly walking down the aisle, but at least coming to Mackey for the last time. And Tammy, you've been through 5 years of this in one form or another, and of course I have a daughter that's an athlete as well. But we'll be at what are some of your thoughts as you start to look forward to Sunday and that game against Wisconsin and Senior Day?
Everything's just kind of been a whirlwind, so it's just like one more step.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we are in a lot of our lives between me and my children. It's just like, okay, what's next? And so, but when you're in the moment, you can stop and it hits you. But going into it, it's just like one more step. And that's how we approach everything. It'll be hard because it's been such a fun ride, and it's such a great group of teammates. In our eyes, they're all just kids, and families also. It's just been so much fun and a blessing last year and this year going through it with the group that we've gone through it with. So that will be hard because of what a special group it's been. Not even their accomplishments, but just as individuals.
Yeah, you guys get you're a world traveler, but you're a traveler too of being on the road and getting to games and seeing other Mason's teammates, their parents as well. When you're at a place like Illinois on Tuesday night, and it was a raucous environment to say the least, do you feel, do you band together as a group? How is that? Is it us against them? You're probably a competitive person, but I know you are,
yes.
But in terms of how do you deal with that notion, or is that just another game for you?
I think it's nice. We are only allotted a very small area within those arenas. And so especially as the immediate families, when we're right down there on the court side and usually penned right up next to the student sections, you do kind of band together, and you just try to cheer for your own. And it's hard to tune them out sometimes, but if there's things going on, we do band together and support each other through it. It's just everybody competes, but it's fun, and it's a good group to be sitting there through that stuff with.
Yeah, and you have Julia Edie gets a lot, obviously with Zach gets a lot of the attention, and yet I know, and I've seen you with other parents. What is there a common thread in terms? The team seems to have such a great culture. My guess is and you've kind of hit on this, that the parents are kind of cut out of the same cloth. You're for everybody else. Sure, you want your son to do well, but you want the team to do well. Is that a fair assessment of your colleagues that are parents of Purdue team members?
Absolutely. And I think, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in any situation with the players on the team. Like, all of what you see in the players is what you see in the parents too. And everybody's cheering each other on and supporting each other and feels each other's pains in different situations and stuff. It's a good group.
Yeah. When you have, like I said, everybody's got personality. Mason is well known as being certainly a very good leader, but maybe being the one that's I did a recent interview with him, a little more on the vocal side, on the leadership side. He will be the one that will protect his guys. That's pretty clear.
Yes.
And yet that growing up, as he talked about in the interview about how he had to mature, that you as your parents, you made him when you went to church, you taught him how to look somebody in the eye and shake people's hands and stand up. Has that been a process for him, or has he kind of turned out the way you thought he would 6 or 7 years ago when he was still in high school?
I'd say both. He's always been, even though he's small out there on the court in the Big Ten in his position, around us where we grew up, he's always been a bigger and stronger kid. So he kind of had to mature and grow up a little bit quicker than a lot of his friends, just because of the expectations that people didn't know him would think that he was older. And so it was kind of always, and he's always been a little bit more mature kid in those ways. But yes, in the community that we grew up, that I grew up in and that he grew up in, that's how he was raised. To stand up, to shake somebody with a firm hand, to look them in the eyes. And I see that in him daily. You know, that was always the expectation. You compete every day. The opportunities will be provided and I will work to get you those opportunities, but you have to compete and give 100% with the opportunities you're given. And so seeing that play out every single time he hits the court is rewarding.
Yeah, I would think. And you are I know you were a college athlete and ran cross country, right? Is a runner as well?
Yeah.
Does he follow your competitive flair? I mean, is that are you that type of when you're, and it's different maybe in running, but you still got to have a mental toughness. That seems to be something he has a lot of. Are you going to take all the credit for that, or how
No,
where did that come from?
No, his dad's very competitive too. I mean, his dad played basketball, Bill played basketball, and I mean, we are all very competitive. So it's just in the blood, in everything, whether it's academics, day-to-day living, basketball, whatever it is, it's just giving it your all and competing.
Yeah, even in Scrabble at home or games that you might play at home, do they get do you remember times him growing up where he would get mad if you beat him, or how was
both him and his sister.
Pardon me?
Him and his sister, like it would be all out, like they had to learn to lose. You didn't just let them win. They both had to learn to lose. And whether it was card games, board games, or pick up basketball games on the court out back, it was, you didn't just give in. We were all competing.
I'm guessing that's true. I mean, I believe it too. You lived it, but it sure is evident on him. Lauren, your daughter, also a Division I athlete in volleyball, has a job in sports as well. One of you talked about her ability. She I don't know if she's going to be able to come on senior day, but also for hopefully a long run in the NCAA tournament. One of the byproducts of her opportunity and job is she may have a little bit of flexibility to get back and watch her brother play.
Yes. Yep. She'll be there for senior day and she'll be there for the Big Ten tournament. And then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, that's right. One step at a time, I think is a good tact. We've learned that throughout the entire process. Okay, you've been to a lot of arenas in the Big Ten. I'll say when you and I have had some discussions about some of the ones that have been more challenging. But one of the ones, are there any that stand out for ones that you might like? Maybe it was games that Purdue won. I don't know, though they won in most of them. The Boilermakers did. But what ones stand out to you maybe as a best or a middle or one that's not as good? Or do you say what you want to say about the road venues and your experiences?
Honestly, I would say some of them have shifted throughout the years. And it's also kind of jaded because like, 1 year there were no fans there, the year of COVID. So we've been through a lot of that too. And so then you see fans coming back in. I have to give credit to IU. You could tell the first 2 years ago was very rough. One of the worst places we've ever played in. Last year was better. This year, I would say you can definitely tell that they're trying to change the climate there. And there was a lot more cheering for their own team, which was positive to see. And I was very impressed with that they have worked on trying to change the culture of cheering for their own team and not berating us. So that was a positive to see. And I do think that some of the arenas have heated up as our team has climbed the ranks and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that, some arenas that I would have said like 2 years ago were great to play at might be a different story this year. So it's varied.
Nebraska being one, right.
So it's varied and stuff, but they're all, I mean, it's some of them are harder than others when they're cheering so heavily against us and not just for their own team. And I'm not going to say positives or negatives in direct arenas, I don't think. But that's the hardest part, is when they're attacking individuals instead of cheering for their own team.
Yeah, and it seems to me, and maybe when sitting in Mackey Arena, I'm sure there's some of that there, but I think Purdue fans are pretty good. It seems to
Yeah.
me, and I understand the team's been good, and you haven't lost a game at home this year. I get all that, but it seems to me that that's a
And we
fair
were talking
assessment.
about that last night. A lot of parents were like, just trying to think back about our games. And it's just, and I think it's a culture. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, Coach Paint cut out the one song where everybody
Yeah.
would chant about IU, and that
Yeah.
was cut out from the top down. And so then the rest of the fans follow suit. And you don't, I mean, because we were like really racking our brains, like, did you ever hear this? Because you want to question yourself when you're so attacked at other places at times. Like, we are not like that,
Yeah.
are we? Do we just miss it? But honestly, I think that it's just a great culture and a great competitive environment where they're about their home team and they're cheering for their team, and they're not concerned about berating the other team. They want to lift their own team up, which is very much appreciated by the players and the parents.
Yeah, and I am a huge fan of eliminating what they eliminated with that. I think you're right. That's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought of it. It may have actually permeated through just kind of the way you behave a little bit. I mean, it is supposed to be. We understand the wonderful world of social media and all the things that you can do and see, that you're going to get some of that, but I do think I'd rather be known, if you're Purdue, I think you want to be known as a place. It is one of the great venues in college basketball, without question.
Right.
But it can it should be a relatively positive experience, except you want Purdue to take care of business at home, and they do that all the time. So, all right, I got to ask you then, your proudest moments of Mason as you look back. What are you most proud of, what he's accomplished? Yeah, he had the greatest game against Penn State when he scores 29 points, and every time he makes a three, it's exciting. But he's a lot more than that. But what do you say? Boy, I'm going to look at this now back and say, this is really what he got out of his Purdue experience, and the thing that maybe you're most proud of.
I would say his growth and resiliency.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows some of the difficult times he's gone through. And he took it on his chest. He took care of what he had to take care of, and he grew through that. No student athlete, no college student is perfect. And unfortunately, when you're at a student athlete, it gets raked through the coals. But I think the way that he has handled it and addressed it and grown from it, from that one perspective, and then also just competing every year for himself and for his teammates and for the university, and the growth through that. He's had his injuries, and it's just, you handle each one, and it's check that off and move on to the next thing. You can't hang your head, and just his resiliency and his being there for his teammates and being there for his team, and even in difficult times, I think, and just always competing, doing what needs to be done at that moment for the team.
He has certainly done that, and my experiences with him, which aren't all that many, but certainly a few, that he is just always handles himself in a first-class manner, and he certainly brings honor to your family, because he's done that as not only as a player and basketball aside. I mean, basketball's great. He's great at it. That's all well and good, but the other stuff is kind of the stuff that's really important. So we thank you so much. It's funny, because you and I, when I didn't even know who you were, this was last year, I tend to sit in a section that you sit in, because I'm a man without a country sometimes in seats, so I go grab a seat. And we were talked about, Mason, I think it had a back injury. And I always was so impressed by you, because you sit there at home quietly and enjoy the game. And I was talking with somebody about Mason, about his back, and you piped in and said, well, I'm actually his mom. And that was a great first experience. And I've enjoyed so much sitting next to you and the times we've had to do that and sharing some of the experiences with you and meeting your daughter as well. So we thank you for that. We thank you for the time today. And you know what? It's nice of you to come out, and not always an easy thing to do to talk about your son in an emotional time, but let's hope it goes on for. I hope you get to go to Indianapolis, which will be close for you, and then Detroit, which won't be all that far, and then you'll get, hopefully one step at a time. Maybe you'll get a trip to Arizona as well, but it'd be exciting too. So thanks so much, Tammy. We appreciate it, and best of luck to you and your family, and best of luck. I know you'll hold it together during senior day, but it will be an emotional day for Purdue fans, because there aren't going to be many players in the history of the program that Purdue fans are going to like more than Mason Gillis and the effort he's given. And that is a true thing.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.